Fractal, they make beautiful, minimalistic PC cases. It's why we love them, and the new Fractal Epoch XL is no exception. Is it the Epoch XL's price, the versatility, the build experience, the thermal performance? Well, the answer to all of those is yes. But those yeses are not without reservations. There are two things about this case that I can't believe we are still finding inside of PC cases in 2025. We're gonna tell you all about those things and what makes the Epoch XL tick right here, right now on Robeytech after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by our official Robeytech build mat. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll probably recognize it. We love these things. They're super thick and durable, and they're absolutely huge in size, measuring at 5.5 millimeters thick and 24 by 48 inches wide. This one that we have right here, man, this has been in the studio for like 4 years, and it's still holding up great, no problem. We've also included all sorts of useful graphics showing different PC form factor sizes, including schematic diagrams and connectors you'll encounter probably during your PC build. Not to mention, there's plenty of open space for screw and tool organization. We designed it like this so no matter what skill level of builder you are, it could be a helpful tool for pretty much everyone. Now, you can find these build mats for sale on our Newegg store, and it's a great way to support us directly if you enjoy the content we make. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. Let's be honest, 2025 has been a rough year for PC DIY, but one of the areas that has been pretty amazing this year has been PC cases. We've seen a bunch of them that absolutely blew us away with their unique designs, the boundaries they pushed, and the ways they made PC building an absolute treat. Scooting in at the last minute is the Epoch XL. It's a new mid-tower PC case from our favorite Swedish designers, IKEA. No, actually it's Fractal. And unsurprisingly, it has a clean design that brings some grown-up maturity to the modern gaming PC. In other words, this thing has Fractal's fingerprints all over it. Figuratively speaking, of course, unless they got a little handsy with the tempered glass, and I can't touch it because Brian will punch me. But we're not just gonna sit here and say, trust me, bro, it's good. We're gonna share what we learned, what made us love this case, and the places we think we could see the case improved. And as we get to know it, we do wanna say a big thank you to Fractal for sending us over the Epoch XL to build inside of on a live stream, to test it, and to give you a case review. Okay, let's say you're digging the vibes of this case. How much does it cost and what are the options? At the time of this video, there are 3 different Epoch XL models to choose from. The non-RGB version of the Epoch XL comes with either tempered glass or a metal side panel, and both retail for around $130. Oh, and that second one I mentioned is only available in black. Now, if you like your PC cases RGB equipped out of the box, Fractal has one of those for around $150. As the name implies, the big difference between these cases is, you guessed it, RGB. Well, to be more specific, RGB fans. The non-RGB case comes with 3 of Fractal's 140mm Momentum 14 fans, with the RGB case coming with 3 of Fractal's Momentum 14 RGB fans. So if you want RGB, that'll be $20 right there. Now, pricing wise, the $130 to $150 range puts the Epoch XL in competition with cases like the Lian Li Landcool 217, the Be Quiet Pure Base 501 LX, and the Asus Tough Gaming GT302, which you can actually see our review of right here. And while you're clicking on that one, if you wouldn't mind clicking those like, subscribe, and notification buttons, that really helps us out, and hopefully it helps you out too. On a quick side note, if you're familiar with Fractal and you're wondering if there's a non-XL version, there is, and you can see us build inside of it over at Robeytech Live. I wanted to point this out in case you liked what you see, but you wanted something with a slightly smaller footprint. And speaking of size, the Epoch XL is comparable in size to cases like the GT302 and the Landcool 217, and weighs about as much as a microwave oven. In other words, this guy is not dainty, but it's also not unwieldy. And that's not a bad thing when you consider all the goodness you can slap inside of this bad boy. Which perfectly segues us into talking about what fits inside of this case and the overall build experience. And this is really the part that gets me excited. So what fits inside of the Epoch XL, and what's it like to actually build inside of? Let's just say that the building experience is a treat. All of the panels are toolless and easy to remove, some a little easier than others, and there's a lot of space in here to work with. And a lot of space to work with means a lot of options for your components. Not only does the Epoch XL support back-connect motherboards like the Tough Gaming VTF board we have inside of this one, but there's also plenty of room for standard sizes up to eATX, space for massive GPUs, and enough headroom for even massive air coolers. And hold on to that last part because it is a huge deal for this case. The front air intake is massive with the Epoch XL's 3 140mm fans. I promise we're going to talk about the impact of all of that in just a minute. Now moving on to the back side of the case, there are actually 8 Velcro tie downs for cableways, as well as a number of places that can serve as anchoring points for zip ties. And you know how much I love zip ties. But the thing that really makes this magical for me is that there is so much room for your cables to live inside here. Whether you're using cable extensions for like a front connect build, or you need that extra depth in the back for your BTF connections. There are even nice rubber grommets to keep cables out of sight, again, in case you're doing a more traditional build. What's also nice is that the Epoch XL can fit up to 2 full-size hard drives and 2 2.5-inch drives, which is worth mentioning if you saw our recent video revisiting the Humble hard drive. These bays are easy to move or remove from the case while still leaving plenty of room for your PSU, especially if you remove one of the bays. But none of that matters if this case is a hot box. So is this case as cool as I'm making it sound? Well, we ran into a situation, and no, not the situation from the Jersey Shore. We started noticing that in our last few case reviews, our AIO data has been leaning towards the warmer side of our charts. But we also started noticing whenever we used the same case on our live streams that the results were, well, they were wildly different from what we saw with our testing components. Looking at it just a little closer, I think we killed our test AIO. We're pretty sure we heard our AIO whimper, "I'm tired, boss." So with that in mind, let's start looking at our AIO data we collected in isolation before we move on to comparisons. And just as an FYI, here are the parts that we use for our test bench. Now, under full CPU load, the Epoch XL averaged a little over 76 degrees Celsius. While gaming, we saw averages a whole lot lower, a little over 42 degrees Celsius on our CPU and just under 65 degrees Celsius on our GPU. Overall, not bad temps with our wheezing test AIO. But when we move on to our air cooling test, the Epoch XL struts a bit thanks to those intake fans. Under full CPU load, the Epoch XL still hovered around 76 to 77 degrees Celsius, but when we look across our cases, the average is 1.5 degrees away from our coolest case, the NZXT H5 Flow, and ever so slightly cooler, and the once king of cold, the GT302 and the H6 Flow. Looking at results in gaming, they were a little bit more modest with our CPU averaging a little bit under 47 degrees Celsius, while our GPU hovered between 64 and 65 degrees. For context, these temps put it right between the Fractal North XL and the H6 Flow on CPU temps, and between the Eclipse G370A and the Cougar CFV235 Mesh, both of which we have video reviews of here at Robeytech. Now, when we take this case out of the lab and into the studio, our showcase build gave us a different set of numbers with totally different hardware that helps us round out the Epoch XL story. We tested both a budget-conscious AIO and air cooler inside of the XL with a 9800X3D to see how well a top-tier gaming CPU would perform thermally inside of this case. And the results were solid. We're talking about 78 degrees Celsius on our CPU and around 58 degrees on our GPU. In other words, we really didn't have any thermal concerns with this case. So when we put all of this together, what does it mean? From what we're seeing, the Epoch XL is pretty versatile, and with how we've seen it perform thermally, there's a lot of ways you could use a case like this successfully. While I wouldn't say it's without limits, the extra space and cooling capacity provides a playground for things like overclocking and custom loop cooling. Essentially, the average user shouldn't have any thermal issues with this case whatsoever. But to be fair, we have yet to see a case fail thermally, though that is not a challenge for you to make a bad PC case manufacturers. But remember, I did say that I have 2 things against this case, right? And I'm gonna be upfront, they are both super annoying and they are also very super picky. The first thing is that in spite of giving us modern case I/O, the cable for the front panel does not have a unified header, and I know Fractal uses these in other cases. Again, this might be picky, but with all of the conveniences of this case, these goofy cables just stand in a juxtaposition to the rest of the experience. This is kind of like if Melina from Elden Ring was added to Animal Crossing as a non-optional boss and all you have to fight her with is a turnip. Okay, that's a massive stretch, but since I'm being a bit extra here, let's talk about the HD audio cable by saying that this case is stunningly beautiful and effortlessly captures Fractal's clean, minimalistic aesthetic. But then you have these multicolored abominations. It just flies in the face of the clean look that you know that they're going for, and we know that there are ways around this. Sure, you don't see them if you're doing a back connect build, but seeing them inside of a white case, seeing the clashing colors, it just throws off my groove, man. Am I making a big deal over nothing? Maybe. I know everyone doesn't think the way that I do about these cables, and it's just not a big deal to most. I've seen other cases give us HD audio cables that match the color of this case, and I was really hoping this would be one of them, especially considering Fractal's dedication to clean design. Clearly, I'm grasping at straws to find something negative to say about this case, but honestly, when the team and I talked about it, there was just a bunch of positive things to say about the Epoch XL, with a few minor hiccups. If we were asked to create like a wish list of things we'd like to see in an updated version of this case, there were a couple of recommendations we would make. Aside from recommending a unified front panel connector and color matching HD audio cable, we would like to have some rails added to the front so that the builders could use some of Fractal's 160mm fans. We'd also like to see Fractal make the top panel a little bit more secure. We move these things around so much that we keep accidentally knocking it off. But overall, this is a great case with above average thermal performance. Not only does it give PC builders a playground to work with, it gives them an environment for their components to really thrive, no matter what cooling method. You can use an air cooler, you can use an AIO, or you could go all in on water cooling. Each cooling option would be successful inside of this case. Although, this brings up one more wish. I wish Fractal included a rear fan. Look, I get it. Fans cost money and adding another fan would increase the price, but having a rear fan pre-installed would just be the icing on the cake, just given the complicated method in which, even though it's a single cable, just having it all pre-routed would be. That being said, between the high range of support for large GPUs and motherboards, the range of back connect boards, all of the cable tie downs, the pass-through grommets, and the depth of space for cable management, when you put it all together, the Epoch XL is just a treat to build inside of. And even though my build on the live stream only took me about an hour to complete, it was an amazing hour. And there you have it, our thoughts on the Fractal Epoch XL. And as we wrap this up, we want to say a huge thank you to Fractal for sending over the Epoch XL for this video. And if you want to check out the live stream that we did with them, man, they were actually in the chat, and so many manufacturers love to do that. So come join us on the next live stream like that one, where you can talk to the manufacturers and ask the questions yourself. But speaking of asking the questions yourself, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the design of the Fractal Epoch XL? Would you use an air cooler or an AIO in here, or are you one of those custom loop kind of people, and would you put that inside of this case? And what do you think of the space for all the cable management? Let us know all that in the comments below. And if you like this video or you learned something, we'd love it if you'd like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. We have a lot more content like this coming here on Robeytech, Robeytech Live, and all of your favorite social media platforms. And hey, if you have a question or you want to talk about this video, hop over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.